Good Saturday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center as we are watching the potential for some strong to severe storms to above here as we're looking in northern Florida this evening and tonight. So, gotta kind of pay attention. You see that blue circled area on the screen here, and that is a mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. Now, there's only a 20% chance of a severe weather watch being issued, but we'll just be paying attention because we could have some isolated storms that are evolving here that could become severe at times and could become impactful here on a pretty busy Saturday evening, Saturday night around. I mean, toward Tallahassee, of course, we have some more FSU graduations that are going on. And then in the Stark area, Bradford County, I mean, out at Brooker there, for instance, going to have Bradford High School prom. So just going to have to be kind of careful here with this rain going to be picking on up, the rain that's going to be picking on up here. So just be monitoring this potential. You see that dark green area on the screen? That is a marginal risk for severe weather, a 1 out of 5 on the scale. And as we kind of break down the risk levels a little bit, we do have a small tornado threat in that darker green area around Gainesville, Ocala, Alvord, Ord, Flagler Beach as well. You kind of see areas there around St. Augustine in that region too. That doesn't mean a tornado couldn't evolve outside of that area, but that would be the more favored region generally for that to evolve. And then our hail potential here, you see that over a pretty wide region. And the same with our damage and wind threat as well. So we're paying attention. We haven't had any severe warnings yet, but you see that lightning down there with some of the accent as we're getting toward Liberty, Wakulla counties. We'll be getting to some of that here in a moment. Some lightning near Tallahassee as well. I know FSU baseball moved their game up earlier against Boston College. They got the win there to the Seminoles, but the big story is just trying to get in before that rain does kind of have that impact here, as we're going to have a pretty rainy period continuing. I mean, we had 3/4 of an inch here where I'm at yesterday, about 1/10 of an inch today here in this dark area, and more rain's coming. We'll have to talk about that here in just a moment, but let's go ahead. We'll take off the SBC information for a moment here, in fact, as you kind of just get a grasp of the overall situation. And the Weather Service, of course, talking with the Storm Prediction Center, and they're mentioning that thunderstorms are expected to increase in coverage here across the northeast Gulf of Mexico and portions of the Florida Panhandle, northern Florida Peninsula in the vicinity of a nearly stationary front. Kind of reading verbatim here from the Storm Prediction Center mesoscale discussing, as that modest warm air advexing there will be combined with a scent associated within the right entrance region of an approaching 300 millibar speed maxima, which will contribute to the thunderstorm development with storms moving east across the discussion area through this evening. And that front should begin to look slowly to the north tonight, and despite some poor mid-level lapse rates, the RAP forecast soundings depict that most unstable cape there, and that will be averaging about 1,000 in some spots in those local communities, but especially 500 will be what we're talking about more with the mean there, that average. So something to watch for here this afternoon, this evening, as we're really starting to translate in that time frame now. And we're going to be seeing the strong westerly mid-level flow, which will contribute to ample steer for organized storms. And as storms develop and move east over the next several hours, the potential will exist for a couple of the storms to produce some strong surface wind gusts and perhaps hail. And any sustained storm in the vicinity of the front across the northern peninsula this evening would at least have some potential for a tornado, given the modestly enhanced low-level SRH there. Of course, we're talking about storm-relative helicity in this case, but the coverage to remain isolated enough that a watch won't be issued. It's not anticipated here at this point, as I know reading some more things behind the scenes. The Weather Service in Jacksonville most concerned between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. toward the North Florida Jacksonville counties. So that's what we'll be watching here later on, maybe getting something going earlier on off toward the west. But another thing that they've been pointing out in the chat section over the last little bit of the take the radar off is our satellite imagery is depicting some action here in the Gulf of Mexico that is pretty noteworthy, south and southeast of Pensacola here. That's a little more isolated, and that could be something we'll have to watch as it tracks closer toward the Florida Peninsula here in northern Florida later on. So something to watch. You have them that lightning here. It's the isolated action. I'll go ahead and kind of put a marker on it, in fact, and you can see here what we're talking about. But even the action, I know this storm here up toward Liberty County is worth watching as well, with quite a bit of lightning around. And whenever you hear that thunder, when thunder roars, you really want to get indoors. I mean, I know sometimes it's a little harder with things like FSU graduation going on, but just got to try your best here in these situations as we go ahead and look here as people be trying to get on inside as this evening just go along here as there's different events are going on. And in fact, let's go over toward that radar there in Tallahassee right now. I'll pull that up as we approach the top of the hour. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center, giving you the latest weather information on this Saturday evening to keep you, your friends, your family safe and up to date. And we'll go ahead and say you now the viewpoint off of TLH and that accident in Gadsden County near Quincy and Midway. Some pretty heavy downpours there. A little bit of wind energy. Not seeing it translate too much yet. Watch to see if we get some hail. Maybe a little bit of that in Gulf County. Small hail. Really small hail moving toward areas around Sumatra there and Liberty, and that could eventually move toward Wakulla, maybe, depending on the exact movement, maybe getting closer to Leon, but probably more of a Wakulla situation. And in fact, we'll go ahead and kind of move this along here. It looks like this radar's a little behind. I apologize for that. So let's kind of move to the current time frame as you're kind of still seeing a pretty similar story. Sometimes our radar likes to do that while we're trying to switch between some different things. But you now see some of this action here closer toward I-10 as we're now, this is live here, folks, getting more of this near Tallahassee, and then you're seeing more of this here as we're getting down toward the south, moving already through areas like Sumatra, but some more actions behind. So that's something to kind of focus on as well here. So we'll just continue to watch. No rotation still as we're getting that viewpoint a little bit further on here. Again, this is the live view now. We did have it backed up just a bit there, but you get the live viewpoint now, and you see that's lightning, for instance, moving toward areas around Smith Creek. So we'll be kind of monitoring that here. Just got to remember again that lightning is very dangerous. And then we also have our other radar up here, and this will be our live viewpoint as we get over toward areas here around Waycross, around Homerville, Fargo. You're seeing some of the issues around as well here with these downpours in Ware County, for instance. So just gotta take it easy here on the roads this evening. And again, I'll be watching for that severe potential as we've alluded to in terms of some of those severe parameters. I know the energy is one of the key parameters. So let me go ahead and switch you on over there now. Back to our other system where we have our energy numbers showing up toward Alachua and Marion. That's about where that tornado risk was pegged by the Storm Prediction Center. So maybe that overlap here toward those regions would be the most significant as we're kind of seeing things come in from the Gulf. We have this pattern that will be favorable for some severe accident as we've talked about. So definitely something to watch here for. And let's go ahead and pop up some of our rain chances. I do have this in our system. As we look ahead towards Stark specifically, I wanted to kind of break it down since we haven't had an update since Thursday morning in terms of that formal information. We know we do have our interactive radar at cloudweather.com/radar that you can go to when we're not on. But here's our rain chances, that outlook for tonight, 80% here as we are looking in toward that timeline. So definitely probably got some rain around. Make sure you're being extra careful. 80% tomorrow here, that rainy period continuing. And then on Monday, 60%, you're going to be seeing that rainfall stick around, maybe bumping back up a little on Tuesday before we start to clear out on Wednesday. But as we look toward next weekend, more storms look to be in the viewpoint here. And I'll go ahead and show them coming into view, Roy. This is the next 7 days. And this is taken into account here, that rain as we get toward next weekend. You're going to be seeing this as we're looking toward about Stark, Gainesville, Ocala. As we're looking in that lighter orange color on the screen, we're talking about 5 to 7 inches of rainfall. I mean, there's even maybe a spot popping up with over 7 inches in there on this. And I mean, isolated spots definitely could get over 7 inches. Hopefully, maybe this doesn't come to fruition, but a lot of the models are hinting at it. And the Weather Service in Jacksonville has talked about maybe eventually having to issue a flood watch. So, got to be mindful of that potential here for sure. And that'll be one of our bigger threats. I think the biggest severe threats are going to be this evening, tonight, Roy, and then as we're looking here, maybe into toward your Tuesday. But that's a little tentative looking further down. The chance of severe storms is there toward Central Florida tomorrow. Under the front, the overall pattern here has been kind of tricky to pin down. So that's something you have to keep in mind here as well. That this forecast, I know yesterday we had 30%, ended up getting more covers than that because it's just really hard in these situations. So you got to stick with the updates here. You got to stick here with me. I'll go ahead and keep you up to date on everything that's happening. And also, that isolated tornado chance, I'll just go ahead and run this down. I mean, we don't want people caught off guard at an event around tonight, not knowing exactly what to do with a tornado warning this huge. So if one of those just go off on your phone for your area, you want to seek shelter inside a sturdy building, get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and to protect yourself from flying debris, put on a bicycle helmet. So these are your tornado safety tips. I know tornado watch is unlikely at this point. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I would think that would be a low likelihood at this point, but tornado warning polygons, maybe thunderstorm warning polygons here, the bigger concern even as we're looking ahead on this Saturday evening. I know so much again happening, so that's what we wanted to come on. We don't have the logo red per se, but all that rain coming into view, I know you just want to kind of know what's happening here in the future. And in fact, we've kind of talked about that future some, and this is a current radar view live here, folks. I'll zoom in a little bit toward Tallahassee, for instance. I'll take the mesoscale discussing off so we're able to see Tallahassee a little bit better. You see that lighting around. This is live here as we're kind of putting everything together with a composite and a little bit more robust accent east of Sumatra at this point, south of Smith Creek. And as we look over north central northeast Florida, again, the energy in play a little more, and then we see a little bit of tornado parameters, but they're not overwhelming by any means. You see a few little blue swatches per se. We're just going to have to watch for that here. That parameter potential here really going to be on the lower side. So that's definitely good. We have our forecast model loaded in. I'm going to go ahead and pop this on now. So we'll go ahead and switch computers. I know we're juggling between quite a few different systems, so we like to kind of make sure we give you that whole viewpoint of everything that could happen here. So this is our forecast model. The models are doing a better job now. I know they haven't been doing as good of a job as we've looked back, but seem like they're doing a little bit better job at this point. So this is our look about 6 o'clock or so. It matches up pretty good, not perfect, of course, but pretty good with the Doppler radar imagery. So we'll kind of try to advance you now in toward that timeline as we see this is 6 o'clock or so. We'll go to 7 o'clock, maybe a little bit more accent near I-10. Again, it's a little bit hard to say though. As we get toward 8 o'clock, you see moving near the Florida-Georgia border. And then 9 o'clock, we'll just have to watch because again, there's a chance that we could get more accent down toward areas like it looks like Stark and Gainesville. And this is showing here. We'll have to just kind of watch. You see some of that maybe developing as late as like midnight, and the Weather Service has tied about a thread until about 2 a.m. So could be here watching for a while in the Weather Center. Maybe some of the later accent becoming a more robust accent. We'll just have to see because that'd be a more favored area down toward Ocala as we swerve between the images. I know a little cheat code per se. I know in the far right corner, it's really small. We don't have a way to really put that timestamp big on your screen, but we do have what is called Zulu time, and so you see the 4Z really small in the far right corner. That is equivalent to midnight here. What could be happening? I'll back this up a little. You see some rain around 11, 10, 2Zs as we're getting toward about 10 o'clock, and this is 9 o'clock. So just kind of giving you that breakdown, and then we'll go back forward here. It's just like the scrub between. You see maybe some more accent towards central Florida that could be strong or severe as we're looking ahead tomorrow. Just kind of watching for that potential here, of course, and we'll keep you updated on the stuff here toward North Florida. South Florida, the lower chances of severe weather are in play as we get in toward those communities. But we'll definitely be paying attention here as we go between some of our different systems. So let me go ahead and go back toward our Tallahassee radar at this point, kind of breaking things down with that. So this is our look here. This at 6:04 on the Doppler technology toward Smith Creek and Wakulla County. The wind energy is hard to pick out. You see quite a bit of that showing up, but again, not seeing anything that's really getting down to the surface in a significant fashion. But again, those parameters and those overall severe conditions there should kind of increase as we're looking ahead in the timeline. And UF, FSU, both in the threat area that we've talked about. We'll start off with our UF weather stem camera first off. And you see the dark skies around, definitely a concern there. We'll be watching as you're looking in toward that region. And then as we go over toward the FSU weather stem camera now, we'll pop that up, of course, graduation around, and it is gloomy, unfortunately. I mean, meteorologists maybe like that to some extent, but not that many people are going to like a gloomy graduation day. I mean, I guess it makes things a little cooler, but with that rain around, it's going to be kind of nasty. So just be careful, maybe as you're walking in there, your relatives, the Donald R. Tucker Civic Center, just got to make sure you don't slide down something like that here with that rain around, of course. Everybody taking all the precautions here, though, as you're kind of looking out there with the slick roads as well. So this is just a couple cameras that we have here. Just a couple cameras that we can show you on this Saturday evening. We'll go ahead and move away from that now. Move back to the Doppler radar. And then I think I'll go to a home view here on our other system. And we'll go ahead and switch you on over to GR Earth. And we'll be able to see here what's going on. There's your wind drifts once again as we kind of watch for some of this action that maybe become a little more robust. As we kind of alluded to here, we're just going to have to pay attention. Just have to watch things here very carefully in the Weather Center. As we're going to be here to keep you updated. It's going to be a situation where we have that severe threat kind of sticking around here as we look later in the timeline. And in fact, temperature-wise, you can kind of see where some of that higher energy is. There's higher energy values toward Ocala. They're at 80, 77 Gainesville, 75 Keystone, but in Georgia you see 60s, and that's why we're not really expecting severe weather up there. You see a little lightning right near the Florida-Georgia border. Of course, can't run, maybe a strong storm in South Georgia here, but again, that severe threat, a low severe threat relatively, but it seems to be just based on everything I've seen in the model and also the way the Weather Service is talking about things. I kind of have that feeling that we're in the high end of that marginal risk here. Just so I know the last couple of days we've had a marginal risk, haven't seen any warnings pop up here, but today I think will probably be different. Of course, not a guarantee, but marginal risk. Generally, when you have 3 days in a row, you're not going to go without a warning, and this seems to be the most favorable environment as we're looking here. I mean, even on Thursday, I mentioned that in our morning update. So we'll be on all of our different platforms as needed. Facebook, that's facebook.com/KCCloudWX. Of course, you have facebook.com/cloudweather to have the same coverage. Twitter.com/cloudcasey. And then on YouTube, you can just search Casey Cloud there. Or you can go to my website, cloudweather.com, and then click on the YouTube, the typing there of YouTube, and that'll take you to the YouTube page as well with that live coverage. I know sometimes people like to just, even if you're on Roku, throw up Casey Cloud there on that and on YouTube, and you can go ahead and watch the coverage that way as well. That's the way you can kind of keep an eye on things here. As if we need to cut in, we will. If there's not severe weather, it probably won't break back in. But again, if we have severe weather, which we are thinking it seems to be relatively likely, and at least in an isolated instance, we'll let you know about it here from the Weather Center. So stick with me in terms of wind gusts right now. Let's see if anything's popping up at us. I'm not really seeing too much out of our area down towards Leesburg here. We do see a gust of about 15 knots, but not too big of a deal overall. So that's some good news. You do see the heat indexes, though, to the south, and again, that's kind of that indication of the more favorable atmosphere as we're kind of on the edge there as things kind of interact here. So we'll be watching, we'll be tracking here for you, everything that's going on. Just got to be careful because you don't need severe weather if you're going to an event to have problems. Unfortunately, you can have accidents, you can just have some problems on your hands. So I'm going to go and wrap it up now. Thanks so much for tuning into this update. If we have severe weather, we'll let you know about it. But otherwise, we'll see you Monday morning in that normal time range around 7 a.m. on Facebook, Twitter, and of course, cloudweather.com. But again, expecting to cut in at some point.